So you're halfway through filming, and you've still got some way to go.
That's correct.
But we're actually quite a way through filming. We've only got a week to go.
Oh, really?
Well,
Except for the
quite
second
true.
bit.
Oh, apart from the last 2 weeks of
That was there.
Yeah, we've got another 3 weeks left. Yeah.
Has it been a different experience this time round?
Who does first?
You go.
Well, that was touched on in the press conference earlier, and I think that I have to just repeat what Liz Trubeck, the producer, said, which is that Trubridge, that it's the same but much bigger. But in a way, we're the most lucky people in the world because we've inherited a story that we already know there's an audience invested in the characters and in the story, and so we can just hit the ground running. Whereas there's an onus with most series that you start that the beginning couple of episodes you have to introduce characters and explain a situation, and that's quite difficult to do elegantly. But now we're right into the story. The audience is already very familiar with characters and situations, and they already have a little bit of emotional investment in them. So it's a joy, really, and it's much bigger. There's more people in every scene because of the nature of the story. It's the war now, and the issues are life and death issues, as well as domestic issues.
Is there still that close-knit feel within the sort of the cast members and within the guys that you got to know first time around?
Oh, I think so. I think that's absolutely, that's fair to say. I think the pressures have been nothing to do with the show's perceived popularity. It's more to do just with the scheduling, because of as Elizabeth says, because it has become it's inflated in terms of its ambitions slightly, but in the same timescale of shooting. So it's been a very, very punishing schedule this year. I mean, I feel it's been much more bash than last year, but it's still allowing us hopefully the freedom to get it right and play with it a bit. But no, as Elizabeth says, it's been great that we've got the template to work from, particularly with all our, we do genuinely get on well, and it is a genuine ensemble, so no one's waving their handbag at each other too much, apart from me. So we it was great to slip back in. In fact, I remember the very first day of shooting this series was in here, and 10 months or 8 months had passed, or 9 months, and it felt like we hadn't been away at all, apart from the fact that now millions of people had seen the show.
It strikes me as a bit more emotional, that first episode, and is that how you felt it was as actors, obviously with the background of the war? And
I think you sort of get a heightened sense of emotion for free, simply because of that they are in extremis. The world, the nation is in extremis, and facing the war in France. So lurking in the background, in the same way that the first series had war over the horizon, and we all knew with our ability of hindsight to know that what they were all facing. Little did they know that these glorious summers were about to end. Now we're in the thick of it. Again, we know that they're going to come out the other side, or some of them will come out the other side in 1918, but in the thick of it. And I think, like I was saying earlier about the detail of stuff and the, just in little touches in the art department and so on, you're constantly reminded that this isn't so far away from our own generation. It's our grandparents' generation that was affected by this. So I think the relationships you do feel, I think people do make much more impulsive. There is that sense of dancing as the ship goes down, so to speak. That went down in 1912, but the Last Chance Saloon, people getting engaged because that man might not come back from the front, or making choices that in a calmer world they might not make.
Elizabeth, are you the same kind of mother as Cora?
As I was before in the first series.
No.
Oh, you mean as me as a person? Yeah. I think I am in many ways. I mean, obviously, I'm a 2000 version of it. Yeah. But yes, and the bits of the story in the second series that were very easy for me were the bits where I've got girls growing up and becoming independent and becoming things that I never in my wildest dreams envisioned. And I think that's something that's happened since the beginning of time, and whether you're wearing a corset or not, it's the same story. So yes.
Sorry, I was going to say, in this series, do you think it's fair to say that the lines between upstairs and downstairs become more blurred even more, because of the relationships that are going on? Do you think that's...
Without a doubt. All the protocol is really shot to hell because we've got 50-odd soldiers lounging around in every room. So who's going to open the door for you? I think throws it all into a little bit of a anything goes.
Well, there's that
kind of
lovely
area.
line that Matthew Crawley has in the trenches to Thomas, the footman, about how war sort of, I can't remember the exact line, but it's something about war tells you what's important in life, you know. And of course for Carson, yes, you know, the world has changed upside. It's terrible, this crisis, because he's now going to have a woman serving in the dining rooms, would never happen. So, well, as I say, all those social certainties are completely undermined by what's going on a few hundred miles away in France. So yeah, it's all up for grab, and it all changes. It's never going to be the same again.
The thing that I love about the story is that it also shows how, yes, terrible the war was, but how, in a way, it created opportunities for people that they never would have had.
Especially women.
There are
I was gonna say.
well, women is the thing that everybody kind of understands, and they went out to work and they had that experience. But the servants would go into the army, and suddenly they had an opportunity for their brains and their talent to really shine in a way, and they would move up the ranks of the army, and there's a lot of self-esteem and self-accomplishment that they could experience that they might not have had the opportunity to otherwise, and that was something that had never really occurred to me before. So it's an interesting part of the story.
Julian Fellows does a great job in bringing characters forward and giving, no matter how small, giving each of the characters an arc. But as actors with a cast of 20, do you ever look at the script for an episode and go, how many lines were my?
No, when I read.
Honestly.
No, honestly, no.
Quite don't.
As Jim, yeah, I wish. You know, as Jim said, it's one of those treats that you start reading Julian scripts, and you want to know. You don't just care about yourself. You do want to know what happens to the other. I've likened it to opening a Christmas present when one of his scripts arrived, because the pleasure of reading them, quite apart from performing in them, is so rich. No, because it is a genuine ensemble, you know that Sophie the housemaid is going to have as vivid a storyline as Maggie the grande dame.
But equally, it might be a little bit of trepidation as well, because there can be a bit of a churn rate. We've got the war going on, so you could literally pick up an episode and find you'll not get it, or something diabolical.
But at least you know you'll be living still.
Yeah, no, there have been some. That you'll find along the way there are some surprises. I mean, you know, death comes to Downton. Yeah.
In terms of your character's relationship, and what I always loved about it is that it's a very warm, loving, supportive marriage. And I suppose, I don't know whether this is a bit of generalisation, but when you think about perhaps aristocracy and their marriages, they perhaps weren't also so supportive. So I wanted to kind of get what your opinion was on the kind of relationship between the two characters. Do you think it's atypical or typical of a kind of a marriage at that time?
Well, I think human relations are human relations, but I think what's significant about this relationship is that it was a cash deal initially. She brought the cash and I gave her the title, and that was the deal. It just so happened that we fell in love, and I think from a Brit's point of view, opportunities that might have been, I might have married someone who was not coming from a set of values and a social experience like America, where it is a meritocracy, where cash talks, and it's not about where you were born or how you hold a teaspoon. And so I think that the breath of fresh air that has blown through Downton because of Cora shouldn't be underestimated.
The show has like a big fan base. What's like the weirdest fan encounters that you've experienced?
Weirdest
fan encounters.
Oh gosh, I don't think I've had any. Have you?
Any funny ones?
To be honest, I don't have very many personal fan encounters, because I think that it's so hard to make that imaginative leap from the way Cora looks to me at Sainsbury's, yelling at the supermarket checker. And I think people just don't want to make that leap, and I don't blame them, so they don't really approach me. Yeah. It's too much of a
Do you quite like that you're allowed to be a little more anonymous, though, because you don't automatically associate you?
It is very nice, yes. I mean, it's funny because an actor, of course, wants to be successful in recognition, and it's all very gratifying. But to actually experience to have a situation where somebody comes up to you knowing you and you don't know them, and have a conversation based on that relationship is actually, for most people, very odd and not as pleasant as you would think. And that's what you want, and so you feel a little bit terrible.
So you're quite private.
So actually, it is very, very nice. You want to be sort of your character and then be able to shed it, which is a lot to ask. But in this case, it sort of happens that way for me.
Do you think that's because it's a period drama and that's why you get that anonymity?
I think it's the look is so different, and it's just so hard to sort of
people to make that connection,
Yeah.
rather than if you're in a soap where people feel, because often soap
Precisely.
actors say that people think that they're their characters, so they'll
Precisely.
get abuse in the street for
That's
being
right.
a baddie or
Yeah.
So what do you like between scenes on set? I mean, do you schlep around in your boots and your dressing gowns, or is it wall-to-wall glamour like in front of the cameras?
It's wall-to-wall Ugg boots. It really is. Do you know, there seems to be so little hanging around because it is such a fast-paced show that, well, you sit there playing your guitar. No,
I
it's
think people have this sort of fantasy, though, that we're always, it's one giant party.
no, it's really,
But actually what people tend to forget is, and it's often misunderstood when an actor says it's hard work, because it really doesn't seem like it is, because, well, I suppose compared to a lot of things, it isn't. But it isn't a big party from morning till night. I mean, you do have to stay concentrated and, stand for many hours and do all those things.
and sometimes speak.
Yeah.
Haven't you done much with your band recently?
Oh, thank you for asking. Yes, we played the famous Maverick Festival. We were right next to a big cow in the field. We had a great time. We loved it. And we're finishing up our second CD, so we're still
holding
plugging
on.
away. Yeah.
Did Michelle join you?
Yes, she
for a
did.
performance? How
Yeah.
did that come about?
Yeah.
really? I didn't like your question.
Now we've got to move tables. Do you want to just finish that question, Elizabeth?
Yes, she did. She played with us at the Leadenhall Festival, which was a London music festival. We did 3 performances, and we loved it. It was great.
Do we get
Michelle
to see you
can
sing
carry
in
the
the show?
tune, so I like having her there. Huh?
Do we get to see you sing in the show?
You'll see Michelle singing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
guys.
Thank you.
Track him down.